Hello everybody! Welcome back to another episode of Minecraft How to Build. Manticore here, and as you can see, I'm just up here chilling on our wizard's cloud because that's what people do, right? They just hang out on clouds. Yes, that's the point of Minecraft. Anyhow, today we are going to be building up a library. So after we built up the Explorers Guild an episode or two ago, I realized that little area right down there, let me go ahead and show you guys. This would make a good little section for a small library because it can have a similar design as to what we did with the Explorers Guild. So I went ahead and cleared out a little bit of space. There's not a lot of room to work with, but we don't need anything too huge. It's not a super large town, and most everybody has their own enchanting room, so I'm not too worried about people needing to use it that much. So for this build, we're going to go ahead and build it up using either quartz bricks or endstone bricks. I haven't really decided on that yet, along with regular bricks to give it that sort of modern, sort of public feel to it, Now, I'm going to go ahead and just start by laying out a base, and for now, let's go ahead and just lay down some endstone blocks, or endstone bricks in this case, and we'll make a large rectangle using it. And you know what? I'm almost wondering if we might be able to go ahead and use both the endstone bricks and the nether bricks, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm thinking with that in just a moment. Now, I'm not too sure that I want to have it go down a step because that might be a little bit messy, so I'm almost thinking that we push back this wall a little bit more than what we have now, and we try to make this library a little bit deeper than what we have set up. So maybe something just like that, and then we'll get rid of that. And we'll come through here. I can go ahead and fix that terrain so that it doesn't have a drop. I'm not too worried about it at all. So for this, we've got a very simple rectangle, and if you want to know the dimensions, let's see, it looks like it is about, oh, I lost count. I'm gonna cut real quick and count for you guys so you don't have to sit here while I count. Alright folks, so we are working with an 11 by 17 build. Now, for this, I think instead of having the end brick in the corners, I'm going to go ahead and replace this with the quartz brick. And so this is where I mentioned we might be able to use both. Now, I think we'll bring it up just about 6 or so. Should be plenty. And then yeah, I think we'll go ahead and bring this across horizontally as well. So basically, we're making a quartz frame, which we would usually make out of wood, but I think this will look pretty good. So we'll just go ahead and drag this all the way across. And then we'll do the same thing right over here. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just fill in these walls using regular old brick, and then we'll go ahead and punch out a few sections for the windows. Now that we've got all that brickwork laid in, let's go ahead and decide where we want to place our door. So I'm thinking that we want to do it pretty much right in the center somewhere along here. And what did I say before that was 17? So let's go ahead and build a hole right in the center. Pretty much it's going to be a centered opening because I want it to be symmetrical on both sides, but you know, one door is too small. So let's go ahead and make this into a 3x3 with one on top, and we'll go ahead and play around with that in order to get it to work a little bit better. But for now, I want to come over here onto the inside and pop out a few sections for windows. So if we do something just like that, it's got 2 spaces on each side, which should be good. And then we'll just do 2x3 since that's a pretty safe window size. Then over here, where we've got the other side of the path, I kind of want to do another door, but you know, I think it might be a little too much. So let's just go ahead and do a wide window. And so now this is also an odd sized wall, so we'll go ahead and make this 3 wide to keep that symmetrical. And we might as well do one over here as well. Okay, so that gives us some space for some windows. And you know, I kind of want to do just a few right up here, so maybe directly across from where we have these other windows, we'll just go ahead and throw in a 1 or 2 skylight sections. Okay, so I think something like that should be good. And you can just see a little bit through there, but it should bring in a little bit more light. And you know, I'm tempted to see how it would look with a 3 right there. So that's... oh no, we can't actually see it. I was gonna say you can see the waterfall from up there, which is pretty cool, but unfortunately you cannot. That's okay though. Now I'm gonna go ahead and throw in these windows. I know, really exciting stuff. We'll just place that in like so. And then for the floor in here, I am not too sure what we want to do. Maybe we'll do some oak wood. Or oak planks. We'll do that. Okay, and you know, folks, since this is boring, tedious work, which you don't need to see me doing on camera, I'll go ahead and cut here, and, well, we'll do another little time-lapse, because that music is way more fun to listen to than my never-ending voice. Here we go. Alright, so now we have the floor completely put in, and you know, I think that looks pretty good. It's, we got a lot of natural light coming in through here, so that should all be nice for the building itself once it starts to get all closed up and dark. Which, speaking of, we need to go ahead and make up a quick roof frame. So now, oh, I'm almost thinking that we do a double wide roof opening, or with the frames on the front and back. And so when I say double wide roof, I just mean that it'll be built up using full blocks and half slabs instead of your typical one incline stair. Okay, so something like that should be good for the roof frame itself, and the reason that I decided to do it like so is because that one, even though it's got this small frame above the doorway, it's technically a side-to-side one-slope roof. So this will just make it seem a little bit different. And you know, compared to the size of the Explorers Guild versus our little public library, this is really small. I didn't really notice that before. Oh well. Now let's go ahead and repeat the roof frame on the back end if you're following along in your own world. If you aren't and you're just listening to me blabber, that's cool too. Enjoy it. Now, we've got both roof frames in, And, you know, this looks like a great spot for another window. I know, lots of windows, but we need the natural light. That's how you make it bright and sunny. Okay. So something just like that I think looks pretty good. And we might wind up changing this shape to full on plus/cross sign, whatever you want to call it. That's not too bad, you know, I think I like that. So we'll go ahead and keep it, and then really quick, let's go ahead and throw on that roof. For the roof itself, I think we're going to go ahead and use spruce planks in order to try and match what we have on the Explorers Guild, because as I mentioned before, since they are close together, I wanted their designs to kind of go hand in hand. So now we'll go ahead and just start by laying out the full plank blocks pretty much in the little nook of every time it goes up by one. And then it's going to overhang by one as well, because that overhang is very important to add depth to the build. So it looks like we're going to have about 4 of each, with an additional slab on the outside there, which you guys will see in just a minute. Oh, and one on the top too. That one, I don't really want to count that one since it's kind of in the middle. But so then we'll go ahead and just do the same thing right over here for, I want to say ease of access, but basically it's just a little bit easier to not have to switch between the 2 different building blocks. The mouse that I have, it's a little old, it's a little wonky, and it doesn't really, the scrolling wheel doesn't work very well, so we're just gonna make do with what we got here, and this is the quickest way at this point in time to do this. So now let's go ahead and add on the half slabs, and this is the 1 extra row at the bottom that I mentioned before. So we're going to go ahead and drag these slabs all the way across and then down onto this lower one. And so it's very simple, just like this. You alternate between the slabs and the planks, and then you just go up like so. And I'm adding some half slabs down underneath as well, just because I think that it looks better than having this clunky full square block right there. It makes it more of a gradual incline. Now we'll go ahead and do that, and like so. Whoops. So now this is a very basic library design. You can use it if you're building a small town, or maybe if you're upgrading a village, well, whatever you want to do, but you can also extend these dimensions. What I'm building here is pretty much just a rough idea, so it's not really meant to be a step-by-step video. It's more along the lines of being, this is how I might build something like this, to try and give you guys some inspiration for your own worlds. That's kind of what this whole how to build town is about, despite its name. Okay, there we go. We've got all those in, and one last section. I know you guys are probably getting tired of me ranting by now. Lucky for you, it's not over yet. Ha ha ha. Right about now, you're probably wondering why you clicked on this video, aren't you? I know it. Alright folks, we've got that roof in now, and so let's go ahead and come right into here, and as you can see, we've got a good bit of space to work with, so obviously we need bookshelves. Books and books and books. Let's go ahead and place these in. We'll start with this back wall, since that's where we have the most room. And you know, I really don't know that we need anything in this back corner, but I guess we could do something. The wheels in my mind are turning. Okay, so I went ahead and just laid down a 4x3 for now of these bookshelves. And so a part of me kind of wants to make a small counter right here to have like a librarian standing there. I don't know if it's really worth it or not, but you know, let's give it a go. Why not? We'll use some birch stairs because we do already have spruce up top for the roof itself, so we don't want those two to clash. Let's see if I can do this. Hey! Success. Okay. We'll go ahead and do something just like that. And there we go. So we've got a... You know, that might be a little too big. Let's go ahead and make this one more in. It doesn't need to be super huge. It's just a counter after all. And chances are you're not going to have a NPC standing there. Although if you got a villager to stand here, that would be really fun. Alright, so now I'm thinking that we need a little chest as well. Decorations. Yeah, that's actually the tab that I need. Okay. My mind is kind of working in a way. It's not really sure, to be totally honest with you guys. The pieces are there. It's just fitting the pieces together to make sense. So I wanted to put a little chest here because we need a drop box. If you ever go to the public library and rent some books, then you know that they have a little slot where you can actually go ahead and just toss your books in if you don't want to go all the way inside. So that's kind of our old-fashioned version of a drop box. Now then, we obviously are not done. We need many more bookshelves. So I think we'll go ahead and start wrapping these around. And pretty much everywhere there's wall space, I'm going to go ahead and be placing these books. So now, I don't want to do them in the corner, because if you are playing in survival world and trying to replicate this build, then you'd have to get a lot of extra books for right in there, which doesn't really make much sense. But you know, we do need to close it off, so let's go ahead and grab a oak slab, and we'll place that right in there, and the same thing with over here. Okay, and then that gives us a little bit something like so. And, you know, I'm thinking that we go ahead and just carry over this bookshelf. So, we'll bring this one... Oh, we already did it over here. Okay. Then we'll just extend this as a lower shelf over to the entrance. And I want to go ahead and do some tall bookshelf sections as well. Is that really all the space there is? That's not very much. Maybe let's rethink that. I'm thinking we do something a little bit like this. And then maybe instead of having one of these, we can do enchanting table over here. Now, I don't know for sure whether that's the max number of bookshelves that you can have for enchanting or not. You might need to add a few more, in which case you could probably go ahead and even do that just right up here. Although that might be out of range. I forget what the exact range is for these, but you know, I'm hoping that's enough. I don't see any letters floating to it, which is making me nervous, but I'm not sure. I'll have to check that later. For now, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing right over here. And now, when I was younger, one of my favorite games to play, and don't judge me, I had a lot of favorite games, but one of my favorite games, and I distinctly remember the library from it, is the Neopets, the Darkest Fairy game. So, if you ever played that game, you know that it's got this really cool bookshelf library thing, and you can actually climb up on top of it, and you have to do that in order to find these special artifacts, and basically I think it's pretty cool. So, I'm going to go ahead and grab some ladders here, and I'm just going to throw these onto the back of one of these bookshelves, and I was thinking of doing it on the side, but you know, I think that works just as well, because in books, or not in bookstores, maybe in bookstores, in libraries, you've got these little ladders that you can climb up in order to reach the higher shelves. So that's my purpose for those, and you know, let's go ahead and do just one more maybe, and we'll make that one a 3 tall. And you know what would be kind of cool is if we actually went ahead and made a secret chest, which I like to do in my builds because that's always fun. So let's go ahead and place it actually right into here. And I think that should work. Is that super obvious? That might be too obvious. Let's lower it by 1. Okay, so we did something just like that. And then maybe a trapdoor? Why not? Let's use spruce, even though it doesn't go with the shelves. That way, if you pay attention and you see that that's a different color, you'll know that something's over there. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool. And while we have these trapdoors, let's go ahead and add one right over to here. That way, you can walk into there a little bit easier. Alright, folks, I think that is pretty good for the inside. Let's go ahead and light the place up a bit. Oh, you know, I did forget about those bricks that I had, which would probably make a pretty cool little pattern on the outside of the building. So let's go ahead and head back over there in just a minute, and we'll see if there's anything else we can add. So I think those 3 lanterns spread out around the place help light up the building enough. And this corner is a little bit dark, but you know, you could probably just throw one right up there. Okay, so something like that should be good. And then, is there anything that we can do with these brick walls? Maybe if we go ahead and replace them on the sides here? Ooh, I like that, folks. Yeah, that looks really good. So it gives more depth to the build for sure. And I apologize for forgetting about these in the beginning, but you know, hopefully you stuck around this long and you get to see that cool switch out. And we have to do it up here, folks. We just have to. Okay, so something just like that. And you know, I kind of want to just do this all the way across. Like, why not? Let's make use of these and make this look more interesting. Although, right in there probably shouldn't be one. That's better. Okay. That is looking mighty nice. I like that, folks. I like that a lot. Alright, then I just want to see how this would look if we did a little bit something like that. And you know, it's not too bad. Okay, now let's go ahead and come around to the sides here, and we'll go ahead and switch out these as well. And since those have the blocks behind them, they're not quite as fancy, but I think it still works. You can barely see the little ridges in there. And you know, I almost like that a little bit more. Let's go ahead and do... We'll replicate the pattern around this upper window for sure. I don't know if we want to do anything for the little skylights yet. I guess we can. We might as well. Actually, not this one, because we don't have any in the corners, so just up to that point. And we'll have to take a look at the inside, too. We can kind of see it now as we're doing this, but it adds more depth to it, and I think that looks pretty cool. Okay, so now, what do we do for that? Did we just do everything but these corners? No, we just did across the top. We can do that, we can do that. Okay. So folks, I think that looks pretty cool. It looks a lot better, at least in my own opinion. And now, one last thing I want to do with you guys on here. Oh, actually there's two. There's two things that I want to do with you folks while I still have you on. So let's go ahead and grab... Oh, that stuff should be good enough. And you know what? We actually need some dirt or grass blocks. So now I'm just going to go ahead and add something over here really quick so that our door is not floating. Okay, and I wound up adding more than I intended to, but that's alright. So now, let's go ahead and try doing... maybe just something like this. Whoops, not like that. Like this. And... does that look a little weird? Oh, just a little. Oh well. Let's go ahead and we can't stand on that. There we go. Oh, wait. Ah, yes. Tricks of the trade, folks. Tricks of the trade. Okay, so like that now we've got a larger even door, or symmetrical I suppose I should say, and it's a little bit awkward. You have to walk in through one side, but you know, from a distance I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add a few more flower pots in here before I show you guys the final product. And yeah, I think pretty much just flower pots is all this place really needs, if anything. But one last thing I wanted to try doing with you guys is I want to try making a flagpole. Because to me that feels very classic, like very classic old schooly type thing. I don't even know what you'd call it. But so this is what I was thinking for the flagpole itself, even though it looks a little strange with the chains. Well, maybe what we can do is something, yes, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, so instead of building that up with chains, which have the little holes in them, we'll make the pole itself out of nether brick fence. And then, oh geez, I don't even know, how do you build a flag? It won't be pretty, I can promise you that. Let's go ahead and grab some wool, I suppose. And we'll grab some light blue, and we'll grab some white. So those are kind of just the colors that we've been sticking with throughout town, since they're kind of my avatars, characters, whatever you want to call them. So, maybe we do something... Why did I think this would be a good idea? This is not a good idea. I should not have tackled something like this. Yeah, no. Just no. Maybe something like that? That looks really funny. I mean, we can just... I don't know. Maybe if we do something like that? That looks even weirder. So I'm trying to decide if I want it blowing in the wind, which would be pretty simple. Could just do something really basic. But I'm trying to make it look a little bit more realistic. Realistic, right. Maybe right there. That, I don't know how I feel about that. That's, okay, that's good. We're calling that good, folks. This is not a how to build video on how to build flags because I'm not good, as you can see. But, yeah, if you want a tutorial for how to build flags, go check out someone who can actually build. Haha. JK, guys, JK, seriously. I can kind of build, right? Right? Maybe? I don't know. Alright folks, I'm going to do a little bit more decorative stuff around the area, like adding in some bushes to the outside, and probably fixing up this land a little bit better so it looks like an actual entrance into the place, and possibly even adding some flower beds. And then I'll also add some flower pots to the inside, because why not? But that's going to be about it, so stick around if you want to see the final results of our little building, and I'll be with you shortly. Alright folks, we are back now for one last walk around the library / fly around, and I made a few changes as well, so I wanted to go ahead and point those out. So as you can see, I made a little bit of a dirt path wrapping around the flagpole, and I also extended it over here to the pathway. I threw in some bushes along the walkway because I thought that looked kind of nice. And I also made some little flower beds around the outside of the windows. And a small subtle difference, not really related to the build, but I also made this pathway a little bit wider because it just didn't look right as a too wide path. But so actually before we head into here, you might have seen that I went ahead and replaced the path blocks, or the grass dirt, with, it's actually stripped spruce wood under there, because it does have a very similar color to the path blocks themselves, and eventually we'll come through here and texture up all these pathways. But I also went ahead and got rid of the full brick blocks that were right here in the corners, and I put in stairs instead. And I also placed in some trap doors directly behind them, so you can see them a little bit better from right here. It doesn't look as great from the inside, but it looks a lot better and a lot more rounded from out here. So then I also made one other small change, which is the area over here. I went ahead and tested out that enchanting block, the enchantment table, and it didn't work when it was directly up against bookshelves for some reason, which I actually never knew about up until now. So I went ahead and got rid of the flat, full bookshelf that we had over here previously, and I went ahead and put in these smaller bookshelves, so now you can get full enchantments off of these. See? Just like that. So if you do want a working enchantment table, that's all you gotta do for it. But other than that, I threw in a small flower pot right there, and also in the corner. So folks, that is everything that we did for the library, and if you did enjoy this build, make sure you hit that like button, and folks, if you want to see more like this, make sure you hit subscribe, because we do build more of these awesome builds about 2 to 3 times a week. So if you want to see more like it, make sure you do that. Until next time folks, have an awesome one. Bye!